The Hall of Trials was older than any species still breathing in the galaxy. Its black stone pillars stretched into darkness, each carved with the sigils of civilizations long dead, their names reduced to whispers in alien tongues. Every 500 cycles, the Galactic Concord gathered here to test the limits of its members, the strength trials. The rules were simple. Lift the core stone. Move it to the end of the trial path. No tools. No machinery. No cheating. The catch. The core stone weighed more than any living being had ever lifted unassisted. It was forged from neutronium alloy, dense beyond imagining, and coated in gravitic dampeners to keep it from crushing the hull itself. No species had ever moved it more than a few centimeters. The record holder, the hulking Grox Dominion, had once dragged it 1.42 meters before collapsing in a heap of broken bones. It was less a test of possibility than a ritual of humility, a reminder to all that even the strongest had limits. That was until humanity showed up. The invitation. Commander Rafe Calder didn't even want to be here. He was a soldier, not a circus act. But when the Concorde extended the invitation, Earth's fledgling government couldn't refuse. Humanity had only been in the galactic community for 8 years, barely out of its infant species classification, and every appearance at these diplomatic gatherings was another chance to prove they weren't just dangerous apes with a knack for violence. Just attend, smile, clap politely when someone moves the rock, the ambassador had told him. You want me to watch a bunch of aliens fail to move a boulder? Rafe had asked. Exactly. And don't touch the thing. This is ceremonial. Famous last words. The trials begin. The hall was packed. Hundreds of species filled the tiered seats. Insectoid chitterers, gelatinous blobs in containment spheres, sleek reptilians with gold-flecked eyes. In the center, under a spotlight, sat the core stone, a black, featureless sphere 3 meters wide, resting in a shallow depression. It didn't look heavy. That was part of the cruelty. The Grox went first because of course they did. 3 meters tall, muscle piled on muscle, armored scales like tank plating. They looked born for this. The crowd roared as Grox champion Durgath approached, flexing in a display that made several smaller species avert their eyes. Durgath squatted, wrapped his claws around the smooth surface, and heaved. The floor groaned. The stone shifted, barely. After a full minute of straining, Durgath managed to drag it just over a meter before collapsing with a howl, forearm fractures visible even through his scales. Medics swarmed in. Other species tried. The lithe YRR, with their triple-jointed limbs, tried to outmaneuver the stone's weight, failed. The dense-boned thorax managed a wobble before their spines compressed dangerously. Even the cybernetic augmentari, who had replaced most of their bodies with machinery, barely managed half a meter before overheating. Every attempt ended the same way. Failure, applause, removal of the competitor on a stretcher. The human turn. The announcer's voice boomed through the chamber. Next challenger, Rafe Calder of Terra. The crowd erupted, but not in cheers. More like anticipation mixed with mockery. Humans had a reputation. Not for strength, not for grace, but for chaos. Stories had spread of humans climbing sheer cliffs without equipment, running marathons in deadly climates, wrestling predators for sport. To the rest of the galaxy, humans weren't the strongest species, but they were the ones most likely to do something insane. Rafe stepped forward, rolling his shoulders, wearing nothing but a plain black compression shirt and cargo pants. The Grox champion smirked at him from the med bay, muttering something that the translator rendered as, "Try not to snap in half, little bone stick." Rafe crouched beside the core stone, running his hands over its smooth surface. "Doesn't even have a grip point," he muttered. From the stands, The human ambassador frantically made slicing gestures across his neck. "Don't do it." Rafe grinned. "Yeah, I'm doing it." The first attempt. The core stone was cold, impossibly cold, as though it was pulling heat from his skin. He could feel the density through his bones, the sheer, immovable stubbornness of it. He didn't squat like the Grox. He didn't brace like the Augmentary. He simply planted his boots, wrapped his arms around the stone, and lifted. The crowd laughed at first. Then the laughter stopped, because the stone was moving. Not much, just a rise of a few centimeters, but it was clear. Rafe inhaled sharply, shifted his stance, and kept lifting until he was fully upright, the entire neutronium alloy sphere resting in his arms like a grotesque medicine ball. The hall was dead silent except for the sound of Rafe's boots thudding against the stone floor. He didn't drag it. He walked it. Step after step, 30 meters down the trial path, past every previous record marker, past the stunned faces of alien champions who had nearly died for a single meter. The ambassador had her hands over her face. When he reached the end, Rafe didn't drop it with a clang. He set it down, gently like a bartender placing a pint on a counter, and stepped back, breathing hard but smiling like a man who'd just proven a point. The hall erupts. For 3 full seconds there was silence. Then the chamber exploded with noise. Shouts, roars, screeches, and a dozen other forms of alien exclamation. Some species looked horrified. Others looked thrilled. The Grox champion stared at him with the expression of someone watching their religion collapse. The announcer was stammering into the microphone, trying to confirm what everyone had just seen. Our record shattered. Full displacement achieved. On first attempt by a human. The YRR delegation immediately began arguing with the judges. The Augmentary accused him of using hidden augmentation, but the medic scans confirmed he was entirely baseline. No implants, no enhancers. Just human muscle, bone, and willpower. Behind the strength. In the quiet after the uproar, Rafe sat on a bench, sipping water. The Grox champion approached, still cradling an arm in a med sling. "How?" Durgith demanded. "You are small. Soft." Rafe shrugged. "Humans grow up on a gravity well strong enough to crush most species. We carry awkward things all the time. Water jugs, bags of cement, furniture up 3 flights of stairs. We evolved for endurance and stubbornness. And we cheat." "Cheat?" Durgitha's eyes narrowed. "Not in the trial sense," Rafe said. "In the life sense. We don't stop just because something's heavy. We wiggle it, roll it, shift it. We figure out how to move it anyway. And once we've moved one impossible thing, we believe we can move the next." Durgith stared for a long moment, then let out a deep, rumbling laugh. "I see. You are not strongest. You are most unwilling to lose." The political fallout within hours. The footage had gone galactic. Billions watched the human carrying the core stone as if it were just another chore on a Tuesday afternoon. Memes spread like wildfire. But not everyone was laughing. The strength trial had always been a symbolic equalizer, a reminder that no one could conquer the universe alone. Now, humanity had broken the symbol. In the Concord Council chambers, delegates whispered urgently. Was this proof that humans could surpass every other species physically? Or worse, psychologically? What else might they do if given a challenge? How many other impossible traditions might they break? The human ambassador tried to smooth things over. "He didn't mean to cause a scene," she insisted. From the corner, Rafe's voice. "I absolutely meant to cause a scene." The second test, a motion was passed to create a new trial, one supposedly beyond even human capacity. They doubled the core stone's mass by adding gravitic amplifiers, making it so dense it warped light around it. They invited Rafe back. When he arrived, the hall was even more crowded than before. The Grox champion stood in the front row, arms folded, wearing an enormous grin. Rafe crouched beside the stone, touched its surface, and this time didn't lift it. Instead he tilted it, rocked it, shifted it to one side then to the other. With a grunt he got it rolling. Slowly, like a planet beginning to turn in space, the amplified core stone moved down the trial path. Not carried but moved nonetheless. The judges were furious. "You cannot roll it." "You said no tools," Rafe replied. "You didn't say I couldn't use physics." The Grox champion roared with laughter. Half the crowd joined in. The legacy from that day forward, the strength trial was never the same. Some species called for banning humans entirely, claiming they ruined the tradition. Others embraced the change, redefining the trial not as a measure of brute power, but of ingenuity, adaptability, and determination. Rafe returned to Earth a hero, not because he was the strongest, but because he'd reminded everyone of something dangerous. Limits aren't always real. Sometimes, they're just waiting for someone stubborn enough to break them. And humans, as the galaxy had just learned, were very, very stubborn.